you so much. I'm recording, if you probably heard. I anticipate this is going to be a short meeting. And I anticipate that you're not going to like what you hear, to be honest with you. And I'm going to try to remain composed for the entire thing because you deserve that. And I want to make sure to communicate as best as possible some of the information. But before we get started, I want to just welcome everybody on behalf of the Executive Board, Rep Council, and our amazing staff. Thank you for attending here today. Really quick house cleaning item. You may have seen a joint message in regards to meeting hours for the remainder of the year. I just want to clarify, those are eliminated. Another way of saying that is that they are optional, right? Because if you choose to meet, you can meet. If you choose not to meet, you do not have to meet, right? That is completely your discretion. If you hear otherwise, reach out to our staff to let them know. That's what that is, which also means that contractually, after your 7-hour duty day, you may leave the school campus because that's the contractual thing. We've heard some stories about site administration saying, oh no, that just means that you are here for that time, but you could do what you want during that time. I could tell you that's absolutely false. So please, again, don't put it in the Q&A now. Go reach out to your staff member. They'll be able to help you with that because we won't be able to capture everything on the Q&A. Okay, so I just want to start there. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Again, I anticipate this will be a quick meeting. They'll be at the end. If you want to comment, we'll have some comment, but really, really quick. So I know some people sometimes get concerned, like, Manuel, why do you give a recap? We were here, and the reality is I want to give context to the conversation. I'm going to do that and want to be able to just everybody to be able to see it because maybe you weren't here or maybe you forgot in regards to how we've led up to this. And so I'm going to try to do a very brief overview of how we got to today. That way you could see and feel some of the things that are going on as well. So just quickly, in the middle of all of this, we had a lot of member meetings. We had surveys in regards to identifying educator concerns. At the end of October, if you remember, with the approval of this body, we submitted grievances. Along with those grievances, we had a proposal on how we might address some of things. This was, again, in the middle of this process. And I apologize. It says FUSD proposal to FUSD. That's actually backwards. It's a Fresno Unified proposal to FTA. Remember, we came to this body and we said that the district's proposal to give you more time was saying the additional 30 minutes in the first semester, oh, just put your kid in front of a computer using Khan Academy or iReady, and then you could use that time in order to plan, and you could do grading and all that stuff. And this body overwhelmingly rejected that, and rightfully so. It's very disconnected from the reality of the classroom, right? And so that's when the next day we did the grievances. And we came back to this body during that process and we said, is it okay we reject this and give 4 options? We created 4 different options in regards to how we might be able to give teachers what we hear they need so much: time. Time. How can we do that? We gave 4 options. One of the 4 district leadership said that they liked and they were going to try to use that one as a basis for their response. That was design option 4. There are the items there, right? So eliminating all PL, required PLCs meetings for the remainder of the first semester, for the remainder of the second semester, to cap admin meetings at 4, which is really just ensuring that anybody, because there are 8 in a year, so 4 and 4, right? Just ensuring that if anybody didn't utilize all 4 in the first semester, that they're not carrying over and doing undue number of admin meetings in the second semester. And the last part of it was converting the last day of the semester to a non-instructional day to allow for you to be able to catch up on the grading and do everything as you wrap up. So that way you don't have to do it over the weekend or going into the next Monday into our winter break. So that was our proposal back on the 4th, right? Okay. So we met last week with district leadership. When I say district leadership, I mean Superintendent Nelson, I mean Deputy Superintendent Herb. And they came back and they gave us four major components in their rebuttal, their proposal. Okay. They said they wanted to make all PL and PLC meetings optional for the remainder of the first semester, which was part of the things that we had originally proposed. And so we said, okay, we're fine with that. And then initially they wanted to limit PLs or to mandate it, depending on how you want to say it, that there be 4 per quarter for next semester, right? So 8 total. Well, if you remember, we have 13 because of our that's 27 hours. And so it really wasn't giving a lot of time back to people, and it was giving it into the second semester. By the end of that conversation last Wednesday, the 10th, they had reduced that to 2 per quarter, 4 for the semester, next semester. Additional component was to make sure that everything, all of our PLCs are driven by teacher discretion in the PLC. Contractually, we already have 50% of that time at our discretion, and the other 50% is actually shall collaborate with administration. They were saying all the remaining PLC time would be at teacher discretion, but you still have to do it, right? And then the last part, 4 nuts and bolts meetings or admin meetings, right? Now, in the conversation, we pushed back and we said, well, wait a minute here. That's still a lot of time. Why do we need all that required time? Because teachers are crying out, we need more time. And so I was shocked at their response. So go ahead, I put their response, and Lewis was in that meeting. So please, if I am mischaracterizing this, I ask that you correct me. But these are the 3 reasons why they said that they needed that mandated time. Number 1 is because some schools, not all schools, but some schools had site plans that included contracts with consultants, Swan Math, other consultants. And so they said that they heard from their site leaders that because it's already built in from a contract and a site plan from a year ago, that we needed to make sure that they had mandated meeting time in order for those consultants to do that professional development. That was quite shocking to me. And for many reasons, I'll go into a little bit of a commentary later, but it didn't seem to meet the need and the reality of the classroom right now. And the classroom and the reality is that we need more time, and our teachers are experts, not some consultant coming in. But that was one of their rationales. The second rationale is that site leaders already had enough time cut from their schedules, i.e., we already, in our side letter, we had reduced our normal meeting hours to 27. Our rebuttal to that was that even doing that, if you remember, we called this year a post-pandemic or a pandemic recovery. The reality is we're still in it. Teachers need more time. Let's be responsive to that and allow for that. But that was their rationale. And the second or the third one is that since they're holding site leaders accountable via standardized test scores and whatnot, that they feel as if their site leaders need additional meeting hours. Again, these are their rationales, don't agree with them. However, what we did is we went back to the drawing board to figure out, okay, how do we be solution-based? How do we get the thing in regards to additional time for teachers and try to meet their needs as well? Now, if you remember, this is quite public. It was a public release to the media. Superintendent Nelson emailed you. There was a video. There was 3 board criteria that were given on the 28th of October. They said, in any design that we do, we're fine with it as long as it doesn't impact instructional minutes, as long as it doesn't impact families, the family schedule, and as long as it doesn't transfer the burden to other classifications, principals classified and whatnot. Now, again, we may not agree with all of those items, but we said, okay, we hear your criteria. How can we find some solutions for that? And so we went to the drawing board, hearing all of those items and the additional ones that they threw on top of it in regards to the need that they felt that site leaders needed some mandated time because of consultants, right? And we developed 4 additional options, and we gave it to them last Friday. Now, it's going to seem very detailed. I'm going to just go over the overview of them. Okay, so we gave them 4 options, essentially 2 options that say keep everything optional, the PLs optional. And our rationale was for this. So if you remember, there was a town hall meeting about COVID, uniform COVID regulations to try to get everybody on the same page about what our policies were and all of that. I would argue that that was probably the most important information in this semester. It was a month late. Superintendent Nelson held a town hall. Even that information was optional. That wasn't part of a mandated meeting. So in our mind, if principals had consultants that were already scheduled, great, make those optional meetings and allow for people to attend. We still capped it. And then we adjusted some of our buyback time, right? We said on buyback, it's 3 hours of admin time, great. But during that time, when educators have their discretion, allow them to go home if they so choose, right? And so that's a lot of that middle part, all those buyback days, right? And then eliminating PLCs for the first and second semester. And option 2, it's the same structure, except for we trade one buyback out of next semester and we bring it in this semester. And it's just purely a day for you to be able to grade, to plan, to wrap up the semester, right? The second option, or excuse me, the third and fourth options meet their needs. What they said that their needs were, said, okay, let's mandate 2 PLs per quarter. We'll do that. If we do that, though, we're going to restructure the time in the buyback so that way it's still allows for additional time for our teachers. And so you could see, again, a lot of detail, but essentially just moving some time around in our buybacks, again, with the idea that when it is teacher discretion on those buyback days, they're allowed to go home and do their work at home, right? Let's not build this compliance-based type of model, right? So we gave them an option for that, and a similar option with the flip-flop days. So 4 additional options at this point. It was 5 options within a span of 1 week, all 5 of them meeting the criteria that they set on the 10th of October, okay? I hope everybody follows me thus far. Now, there's some added pieces in regards to joint communication and those types of things. I'm not going to get into the details of that because those were all items that we both agreed on, so it wasn't really an issue. Again, no impact to instructional minutes, no impact to families, no transfer burden to other classification. Checked all of those boxes. Okay. Well, I hope that you're sitting down. This is Fresno Unified's current proposal, okay? And in fact, I put a note to myself to stop sharing this. I have to start sharing another document, so just give me 1 second. You'll see their current proposal is on the left-hand side, and their previous proposal is on the right-hand side. Their previous one is 8 days ago, right? They added some nice fluffy language that, we value teachers and we value everybody and we understand planning time, all the fluffy language that you see, right? But when you look at the actual number, so just follow it number for number. 1 is exactly the same as 1 over here. 2, limit PLs to 4 per quarter, where last week they said, oh, we're okay with going to 2. So they actually went back and they added 2 per quarter or 4 for the semester. They went backwards, right? I believe the official term is called regressive bargaining, right? Number 3, remaining meetings are teacher driven. It's the same thing. Remaining meetings are teacher driven, but they wanted to make it clear it's teacher driven because we've already did you guys a favor, 45 hours to 27. Never mind that we're still in the middle of a pandemic, right? Never mind that, but okay, so it's exactly the same. 4 and 4, exactly the same. 5, now they put in these and it actually is quite puzzling. This is exactly what's in our contract already, or what's in our side letter in regards to those buyback days. So why they included them in here, I honestly don't know. That's exactly what is in there. So that's not a change of anything. It's not a concession of any kind, right? And then all the other things are items that we had already agreed to. So really wasn't a change. And then this is a little bit funny to me because, again, they wanted to make a point that, starting in the second semester, the additional 30 minutes is optional. Again, that's already in the contract, so it's not a concession. So what happened is that they came back, and it was actually, they added more hours to their proposal, right? And in fact, and it's getting a little bit in the weeds, but important for you to understand, they are asking for 8 hours here, essentially, right? 4 per quarter, 8 for the semester. Well, you have PLC hours. And if everybody's been doing them on pace, you're going to probably have 13 PLC hours. And our contract says that you contractually you have discretion over half of that, which is 7.5. They're supposed to collaborate on the other 7.5. Their number 2, their proposal actually is saying we want 8 hours instead of 7.5. So number 1, it's regressive. Number 2, it actually is violating the contract, right? So I'm going to jump back to this really quickly. So it's regressive, and because of that, because we informed them of that in communication after we received that, they actually retracted their proposal. So we got an email at 3:26. They retracted their proposal and asked that they be given more time to work on this after the Thanksgiving break. Okay. So I'll stop there. And I'll do, so what we had planned to do, quite honestly, was to bring whatever proposal they had and to present it to you, to vote on that proposal, whether we, would like to move forward with that or not. And obviously that's not going to take place because they retracted it because it was a regressive and a broken proposal. So where are we now is the question. Where are we now? So typically I try not to give a lot of my commentary first. I like to hear from folks about this, but I think that you deserve to hear. And I'm going to take a drink of water because I'm a little upset. I can't describe the level of disappointment that I have right now with Superintendent Nelson and the district leadership. You've heard under my tenureship that I have a mantra, and some people might think it's cheesy or whatever, but don't talk about it, be about it. It's because I truly believe that actions speak louder than words. Actions speak louder than weekly videos. Actions speak louder than social media posts. And I don't know about you. I'm sure that these are good people. I'm sure that they have good personalities, but the end result is inaction in addressing your needs. The end result is you having to sacrifice, you having to endure, and the attitude that seems to take place based off of this action is just get through it. Just get through this first semester, then the 30 minutes goes away and everything will be fine. The implicit message in all of this is we don't see this process as trying to meet educator needs. We see this as simply bargaining, and we're not going to give up our position. And that's hurtful, because when you see that and you hear messages of family and of value, I don't know how to reconcile that. And I challenge anybody to explain how those two can be reconciled, when quite honestly, we're not asking for much as educators. And the reason why we're asking of it is so that way we can meet the needs of our students. And it's not an issue about money, as they often would like to put out in narratives in the public. because it's not a conversation about money. It's a conversation about time. It's a conversation about you being valued as an educator. It's a conversation about you wanting to be supported in doing the job that you love to do. And yet I worried about what I was going to say in the last hour or so, because as disappointed as I feel in the people that are leading this district, in the processes that have taken place, I am finding hope as well, because it has exposed the need to redesign our systems. It has exposed how people truly feel about the people doing the work, the real work of this school district, and that happens in the classroom and on our campuses on a daily basis. And it's given me hope to see how educators have really come together to learn about their rights. It's given me hope about educators coming together and wanting to be empowered. And it's given me hope because it has solidified in me the notion that if there are going to be improvements in this district, it's not going to be led by people downtown. And I want to be very clear. It's not about a personality. It's about the redesign of systems that are responsive to the reality of the situation that we're facing, right? And so, again, it's solidified in me that educators are the ones coming up with the ideas. Educators are the ones that are helping to be creative on how we might meet the needs of our students. And ultimately, it's going to be educators that are going to lead a process on how we might redesign things. So that way we never have to be in a place when we're in our darkest moment, we need the most amount of support, and we feel like we're not being valued. Now, I say that from my perspective, right? And again, I want to make it very clear. It's not about a person, personality. It's about what are we doing in our positions in order to make education better, to be responsive, right? And so with that, I'm going to pause for a couple of moments, and I'm going to give Louis the floor. If you have something that you would like to say in reflection, we'll have a quick survey at the end. But Louis, I'll go ahead and let you go for it.
Yeah, so good evening, everyone. I have spent the last just over 7 years in this organization. And my role as the executive director, I obviously spend a lot of time with the presidents of this organization. Today was an interesting moment with President Bonilla. I think today marks an important day for his sort of leadership in this organization, because the fact of the matter is we are not talking about money. We're not talking about healthcare. And you have a president that today was the most impacted by what he heard from district leadership in a moment, because he feels like the pain that you all are feeling in the classroom and at your school sites, he absorbs that pain, and he is working every day to try to mitigate that pain. And today, when we got the response from the district, he felt like he had failed. And quite frankly, he's not at fault here. The failing of the system is what we got from district leadership. And so I want to commend him in this moment in his leadership. It's a big deal to have a leader that is absorbing the emotion, the commitment, the passion, the pain that his membership is feeling. So I felt that today. It was the rawest, if you will, I've ever seen manual, and it's really because he truly loves the work. He loves the people, all of us, and he really wants what's best. And today we didn't get what was best from district leadership, and that, quite frankly, is disappointing. I'll just say quickly, we were also talking today about what drives me I think you heard President Bonilla just talk about the opportunities ahead of us are really what drives me. We are going to, in the coming months, really talk about the future of this district and hopefully take what I think is our sort of natural responsibility to help lead real transformation in this district. So we'll get more into that in the future. Tonight, I'll just stop by saying I'm thankful for this leadership body, our executive board, our reps, all of our educators and trades professionals in the system. Appreciate you all, love you all. Thank you for continuing to lean in, and just know that President Bonilla is doing everything that he can, sacrificing time with his family to try to resolve these very important issues. And we were hoping to bring you something that was going to do that today. And quite frankly, we took a step backward, and that feels really awful. But we're going to continue to stay engaged in this process. I am in about an hour meeting with the head of HR around some issues. This will be one of them. So there is still work that's happening even later tonight to try to resolve these issues. We are going to be meeting with Bob and Deputy Superintendent Misty Herr probably the first Tuesday after the break, where we're trying to schedule some time to try to figure out if they're going to come back with a proposal that doesn't violate the CBA and that doesn't go in the wrong direction. So just thank you all, and just know that we're going to continue to try to push this forward. But there's no reason to vote on something that would be a violation of your contract. So, and they retracted the proposal anyway. So I'll pause it there, President Bonilla, and turn it back over to you.
Yeah, thank you. And I just want to let everybody know we have been working really hard, and everything that Lewis says, I know that he's been just as much, and I wish I could say it as eloquently as he did, and not just them, but our executive board and our representative council guiding this organization to make those decisions, and obviously everybody that's on the line to stay engaged and to be able to come to these meetings when you're ready, or trying to figure out where to get time and all of that. So again, one of the big things that was going on in my head in the short time that we had to prepare for the reaction to this, or the receiving these proposals and then coming to this meeting, I was trying to figure out what message to say in regards to how do we still find hope in these situations. And so I'll just leave with two things, and I'll open it up if people want to reflect a little bit. One is the work is not done. This is an unfortunate event in regards to this, but it doesn't mean that it's done. It doesn't mean that it's over, and nor does it mean that this is the wrong process, right? It just means that we are navigating a challenging time. But the hope is, again, in realizing that it really is our neighbors from one classroom to another. It's in those conversations, it's in building those relationships and having those conversations about what good education is, who needs to be valued, who needs to be listened to in those, and how we might redesign. That's where the hope is. And so I hope that you, as we're going through this, can latch onto that, and I will do everything in my power to make sure that we are reminded of that as we move forward. So just thank you for that. And I'm going to clear hands really quickly, because I don't know if they had a question, but if you have a moment of reflection or anything like that that you'd like to share before we leave tonight, I would I'll let you raise your hand. Okay, so Amy, go for it.
Hi, I teach at Fresno High, and I know how hard everybody's been working. And today we had a lockdown, stressful. We're all on edge already. And I had a student come to me today and tell me she was leaving Fresno High at the semester because she doesn't feel safe. And then we had the lockdown, but she doesn't normally talk. I've asked if she's spoken to other teachers, and we need time to build the relationships and keep those things. And we need our kids to feel safe and and just something needs to slow down so we aren't all stressed. I mean, and I just want to say thank you for all of your work, all of you. I know I feel your passion and I appreciate it.
Amy, thank you. And all I could say is that it seems as if there's a disconnect from district leadership to the realities of the classroom. And it pains me to hear those stories, because those are the things that you or we all experience on a day-to-day basis, whether it's a student that has issues going on at home, a student that needs this or that. And all we are authentically trying to do is meet the needs of our students, and to in some ways be brushed off, or to feel as if that doesn't have value, or to feel as if you're just a cog in the machine putting together a car in an assembly line. That's very hurtful. And so that's where some of the frustration comes in. And so just thank you. And I want to make sure that as we're going to take this moment today probably and just be a little bit down about our leadership and about, you know, what seems to be inaction, but remember that there's always hope in how we might be able to address this. So thank you, Amy. I really appreciate that. Janine, you're up next.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I haven't commented. I've been to all the meetings because I don't comment because when I hear people talk, I'm so emotional. Hard for me to talk about what I've been seeing in our district. But ultimately, we sit here 3/4 of the way through November, and you guys have been working on this since before school started. You've been trying to address our needs. So I just want to say thank you to everybody. I know people complain sometimes about the meetings, but I think the message is pretty clear. I don't think the message is unclear. They're just not, they're not prioritizing it. I don't know what they're prioritizing. That's the thing. What are they prioritizing? Without good teacher mental health, good teacher amount of time to do the things that make them effective in the classroom, you have nothing. We are the system. We're the core of the system. This is where you start. You start with making sure that your teachers are okay. A year ago, we were in our homes teaching. Now, it's like they just, I really, the disconnect is so deep. And I think they think it's just okay. And they're just going to drag it out and drag it out. And so I just want to express my empathy to all my colleagues that are feeling the pain, because the pain is real. We are living through a pandemic in our lives, with our families, with our loved ones. And then we're carrying the burdens of what our kids are living through. So that's all I wanted to say is, if they haven't come to the table now, and if they can't take it serious, what is their job? What is their job? I don't understand what their job is. That's just my raw feelings on it. What are you doing? Lead the district. That's it. That's all I wanted to say. Just lead.
Thank you. Thank you. Let's go to, oh, I'm sorry, Jackie, go for it.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
You know, it's just, I kind of agree with the last lady who spoke. You know, it's very frustrating. I personally am a special education teacher at the elementary school level. I teach 2 grades. So I'm not only planning and grading for one grade level, I'm grading for 2 grade levels and planning for 2 grade levels. You know, double the amount of work. And in addition to that, IEP paperwork. And, you know, we've been having a lot of issues with scheduling IEPs because we have so many, and there's a lot of backlog still from the last year with the pandemic. And they keep telling us, you know, oh, you'll get it done. Oh, you'll get it done. And it's resulting in us having to bring it home or stick our kids on the computer for an hour while we try to write up a quick IEP during the day, hoping they don't stop us and say, oh, teacher, I need help with this. Oh, iReady's not working on this. Oh, my headphones aren't working. Having one aide in the class for 10, 15, 20 kids in the class, you know, and then getting where we're trying to schedule IEP meetings and having parents who want late meetings because they work, and the admin looking at us and saying, well, can't you make this one exception? The parent wants to be present or wants to be there virtually, but they don't get off work. And well, what about us? When does our workday end then? When does our workload end? When do we get to be with our families?
Jackie, that's absolutely right. And thank you for sharing. You know, we hear so much about, well, just for the kids, it's about the kids, it's about the kids. But we only ever hear that when it's about exploiting your time. When do we hear that it's about the kids? So let's figure out a plan to lower class sizes. It's about the kids. So let's figure out how to lower caseloads and workloads in SPED. It's about the kids. So why don't we have a nurse at every school site? Like that about the kids doesn't ever apply to those big policy pieces. It's only ever you stay after you use your personal time. And that's very frustrating to folks. Leroy, you're up next. And if you guys, we have some folks, I want to make sure to try to get to, excuse me, as many. If we could keep it to about a minute, that'd be great.
Thank you very much to Louis and Manuel and the executive board. You guys have been just doing a great job keeping us informed. And I will tell you that working with the admin here at Adult School, I totally feel your pain, and we're feeling so underappreciated. Our adult ed teachers are being shuffled around classrooms to make office space for district departments here at our facility. And the administration here is purposefully not promoting our classes that are so needed in our community so that they can keep the building free for things that are unrelated to adult ed. And they're using our adult ed funds to pay for custodians and toilet paper and all of that overhead. Though that funding is guaranteed and is supposed to be going to the adult learner community, but because our K-12 masters have no sense of accountability, and because the admin at this site have nobody holding them in check, it's up to teachers to advocate for our students and for our adult learner community here. And we're the ones that are suffering the retaliation as a result. Our adult ed teachers get here at 8:30 in the morning. They leave at 12:30 in the afternoon, and then they have to come back at 5:30 and work until 7:30. And this in the middle of a pandemic when rest is so important to immunity and everything else. And this administration is slow walking every single thing that could remedy this. They are not opening classes for adult learners. We have waiting lists over 20 students long that need a computer literacy class in the afternoon. They're refusing
Leroy, I
to
hate
open it.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I hear
Yeah,
you. I hear you.
Yeah.
I don't want to interrupt. I'm sorry. I definitely hear
worries.
those concerns, but yeah, thank you for sharing. So as we go on to other folks again, if you could just keep it to a minute. We do have a poll. We want to make sure that we're on the right course here. We want to hear your thoughts. We do have a poll. So I'm going to do it. And we're grading ourselves just like we're grading the district, right? Have we tried to meet the overall, or did we feel, or do you feel like we heard you? Do you feel like the district heard you, right? So we're going to launch this poll. You could vote on it as we listen to other folks on the line really quickly. Again, try to keep it to a minute if you can. Julie Wong, go for it.
Sorry, took me forever to unmute. And then I was trying to take your poll. So I'm probably going to miss your poll. Sorry, Manuel.
Don't worry, I'm going to leave it up.
Okay. So I normally don't speak on these things, but I just have to say on this one, I am beyond disheartened to hear this. I completely agree with what you have said. I am repeatedly, it seems like almost every day, texting and talking fellow SPED teachers off ledges of quitting. Like some of the best teachers I know, I have to talk them off of quitting. I thought I would be the one to need that. Just because I don't know what it is this year. We have some support up high that also is doing their best to make some changes, but they're being met with a lot of resistance as well. And then when we hear the messaging, like you had said over and over about they care, they're making all these changes. Look how great all of this is that they're doing. look at how great all of this is that they're doing. And then I hear I've got 6 people in that I know of that are ready to go to be subs, that are ready to go, that I've already been fingerprinted and all this other stuff. And I keep getting told, oh, HR won't call me back. You know, they've moved on to other districts because they said, well, we can get it done in a couple days. So I keep getting told, all the people that I know of keep getting told, HR can't get you through for 6 months.
Right.
The backlog's too great. So it's so frustrating. I mean, it's like, I don't know what needs to be fixed because it's above my pay grade, but geez, it's so frustrating because like you said, it's almost like just slap a Band-Aid on, slap a Band-Aid on, slap a Band-Aid on. We can only do that for so long. Most of us, it's that straw, right? We're all snapping.
Right.
We're all ready to snap.
Right. Julie, thank you. Yeah. And, you know, to be honest with you, I've really come to a moment where I see where some of the systemic issues are in regards to this, right? Like, we know that there are some weaker site leaders and some stronger site leaders, but as a system, it seems as if what happens is that everybody's kind of in the same boat at the site where it's, you know, well, figure it out. And your stronger leaders will help to figure it out in a way that is responsive to the needs of educators and students. And some of your other leaders may not, and double down on the micromanaging. And it really creates this false divide that shouldn't exist, right? And so it's just, again, another way that we need to help redesign. Kim V, we have just a couple of more folks, and then we will wrap it up for the night. Kim.
Is it working? All right, thanks. I just really wanted to say, like, to me, they don't care. I've been texting my colleagues throughout this meeting, and it is just very evident to me and most of my coworkers. The district does not care about us as teachers, professionals, or as people in general. They keep stressing that it's about the kids, it's about them and the families, and I don't feel like that's really what they're addressing with their issues. And the fact that they're just like pushing all this to the side is ridiculous. And like what the lady before me was saying, I'm still in induction. Like 7 people at my school are still in induction. So everyone's terrified because we feel like we can't speak out because no one wants to lose their job.
Right. And what type of a system is that? Does that feel like family to you?
No, it doesn't. And that's the frustrating thing. And my thing is like, well, my credential is I'm done. I could go to any other district right now and go work there. I live closer to 2 other districts, but I love Fresno. I love my school. I love my coworkers. Right. I don't want to leave. But at this point, I'm just like, how is this worth it? And the district hasn't paid me my salary that I've been allotted, and it's now almost December and I still haven't been back paid. And I'm like, why am I still doing this? And how come they can get away with all of this leniency and say, oh, well, we're behind from COVID, but we can't get that extra time that we desperately need to really benefit the students in what I think really matters.
Kim, thank you just for sharing that, particularly from a newer teacher perspective. Really do appreciate that. And you're right on the money, right? They take this calling that a lot of people come into, and then it just kind of deteriorates from there because, again, I want to make it very clear. I know that we have some great pockets of excellence in this district, and yet the district shouldn't succeed because of pockets of excellence or because everybody always has to go above and beyond in regards to it. Should succeed because we have systems of support that take our strengths and really double down. And so just thank you for that. And I hope that you stay because there is hope in educators leading those redesigns. So I hope that you'll join us in that. The long-term work, obviously, and then some of the short-term work to address these needs as well. I'm just going to take a couple of more folks and then we will wrap up. Is it Anisha? I don't know how to pronounce it right, so I apologize.
It's Anisha.
Anisha, thank you.
I'm also a first-year teacher here at my new school, and sorry, I have kiddos in the back.
Oh, that's fine.
With me and my coach, like being a first-year teacher and having the coach, I've only seen my coach maybe 4 times this whole semester. Like, she's been pulled for subbing and all of that stuff. So are we as like new teachers getting extra hours for those missed times, or are we getting reimbursed, or how is that going to go through?
I'm going to ask that you email us so that way manual at fresnoteachers.org, just emails that we could just have a conversation offline in regards to some of that. Nope. Did we lose you?
Sounds good.
Okay. Thank you. And one last one. Jesse?
Yes, hi.
Hi.
So if you look on their language on those 3 points, one of them is to not put a burden on classified administration. My principal has stood in front of us and said, we're all busy, don't pass work on anybody. We, as all of my colleagues, and you guys can agree at this point, we're teachers, we're administration, we're mothers, we're social workers, we're janitors, and I still yet have got 0 cleaning supplies. I got hit by a student last week because there was no one around, because there's not enough people to deal with behavior issues, and they don't want want us to burden other people, but they're placing the full weight on educators' shoulders, and it's not okay. Everybody in my hallway looks like zombies who are ready to fall over, and it is so disheartening. And I just want to thank you guys for all of the work that you do, because without you guys, I don't know how many teachers Fresno Unified would have.
Yeah, thank you for those kind words at the end there, but you're absolutely right. And that's one of the reasons why, again, I think there's a disconnect, and we can't explain, and I will not allow them to explain this away well. It's just hard on everybody. I know that I want to go to sleep at night knowing that we did everything possible in order to meet the needs. It may not meet every single need, but we did everything possible to meet the needs of our educators. And I would hope that they would want to do the same, right? This is a very small thing in the grand scheme of COVID to give to your educators in order for them to meet the needs of their students. And so it boggles my mind as to why that wouldn't take place. But again, we are going to continue, try to get some work done next week, but we're available. I don't know if they will make themselves available, but if not, then the week after we'll definitely, in order to meet some of the needs now, and again, be thinking about long-term redesign on how we might be able to do this. With that, we're getting close to the time. Louis, any final thoughts before we wrap up?
I don't have anything, President Bonilla. I think you and other folks have said it. It's, yeah, I don't have anything else to add. I appreciate everyone comments. We certainly appreciate the support. And like we both said tonight, we will continue to work next week, week after, whatever is necessary to get this done, because we understand what we're hearing from our educators, what we're hearing from our trades professionals. Those needs are important. We think that there should be a bigger sense of urgency to address those needs. We'll continue to do everything we can to move this in the right direction. Thank you.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you for your continued engagement. It's, yeah, again, in a moment, we're going to experience this moment, and we're going to move on and push forward in regards to still trying to meet those needs. I hope that you enjoy this time off next week. But you put away your computer and don't ever touch it until, after Thanksgiving. So just thank you so much. You're the hope of this district, and so I just really appreciate that. And I hope that you have a good rest of your evening, and we'll talk soon. For those, if you want to go and talk to your colleagues about this meeting, feel free to do so. We were recording it. We'll try to narrow that down and get the main points out to folks as well. And I'll just prepare you. To be quite honest, I'm sure that district leadership is going to hear about this, which is fine, no problem. As you know, in all of our years, we've been very transparent about what we do. So you can anticipate some type of nice email and we hear you, or some nice video, we hear you, we're family. I'd be willing to talk about this publicly with any of them in order to ask questions as to why we're not at a point where they're meeting the needs of their educators. But until that time, I hope that you have a good rest of the night. Please enjoy your family, and we'll touch base soon.